The policy currently of the United States is denuclearization of the peninsula. Whether the Koreans get a nuclear weapon or not is a sovereign concern, not mine. That's not for me to decide. The Korean people will decide what the Korean people are going to do.
Is peace, which only can be achieved through strength. And because we strive for peace, we must prepare for war.
And I would say the best person to ask that would be whoever wins the election. They could probably give you a better answer on that than I could.
It's nothing if they don't understand land power isn't merely a means of defense.
To ballistic missile defense in the region, they are a critical portion of...
In Korea, it's the one place on the planet with the only forward-based, forward-deployed field army, 8th Army, along with CFC. It's not about digging in and waiting. In response to the evolving security landscape, our alliances and friendships become more critical than ever. The trilateral partnership between the United States, the Republic of Korea, and Japan is growing beyond simply confidence-building measures. We share a common threat, and our cooperation together helps provide a credible deterrent to the DPRK and other regional challenges. Let's remember that deterrence and diplomacy are not opposites, they're partners. Our future will not be shaped by one moment or one leader.
All right. I'm so ecstatic about being... My job is to understand that scope and scale so that as I talk to either from a satellite image, the Republic of Korea looks like an island or like a fixed aircraft carrier floating in the water between Japan and mainland China. It's a triangle of nations inextricably linked by mutual defense treaties with the United States and nations who will undoubtedly be impacted by any crisis or conflict in the Taiwan Straits.
Helping the Indo-PACOM Command see, sense, and understand in the north.
To spend blood and treasure in Korea that the Korean nation might rise.
And if you draw this triangle, think of this triangle that goes from the Republic of Korea to Japan, out to the Philippines, and back to the Republic of Korea. Something happens in the region, it's taken up all the region. You don't even have to talk about islands or anything like that. There is nothing more powerful or more dangerous in terms of projecting power than an aircraft carrier. So if you had a landed aircraft carrier, by extension, you could say nothing's more powerful than that posture that we have that's sitting right there. That's the threat that's provided from Korea. Could you imagine if there were no peninsula, but the U.S. put an aircraft carrier where the peninsula is? Russia would say, there's only so much we can do down there in the East Sea. The Chinese would say, there's only so much we can do in the West Sea right now.
How's Kim Jong-un doing?
The chairman has not called me and told me anything else. The chairman was not cited in that report from the Wall Street Journal. Have there been conversations about force structure? Always have been. If you look at all our forces, they are changing right now because that happens in the interwar years. No one's told me that was in the Wall Street Journal. Okay? No one's talked to me about that.
Meaning we have smaller militaries with much more expensive and capable tools.
Potential US v China, if that were to come about, who has better posture than we do in Korea? What I try to get our folks to understand is strategic flexibility means that we've got to be flexible in our thinking, we've got to be flexible in our planning, and we absolutely have to be flexible in our execution. We have here that would allow us to demonstrate strategic flexibility is a strong rock military. No one other than our forces on the peninsula could achieve effects from the peninsula against the adversary in our area. The regime is using cyberspace to further aims at state power. They've leveraged their cyber-enabled theft to further their illicit gains, to fund its weapons programs, and to mitigate the impacts of those same sanctions. Pyongyang's ties with Russia have deepened. Last year, DPRK troops trained and deployed alongside Russian forces in Ukraine. In return, they've gained valuable battlefield insights, political cover, and access to advanced military technology. They haven't had to develop because they've got, Soviet Russian materials on their shores now, which they're using to effect. The China-DPRK relationship is in a period of thawing or warming, so DPRK's diplomatic space is broadening. Kim Jong-un's focus is on strengthening control at home, nuclear development, and regime survival. DPRK dismantled its inter-Korean organizations and formally recognized 2 sovereign states on the Korean peninsula. This was a strategic shift for the DPRK.
If I were king for a day, I would put a U.S. maneuver force back on the peninsula because there's no better terrain in the region for training. The security of the Indo-Pacific and of the world depends on it.
And some folks out there, we got some of our friends in the fake news media are here. Some of them said, you can't choose an Army major to be the Secretary of Defense. We need somebody that can think strategically, big picture. We can't have a guy who thinks like the troops. To which I say, hell yeah, we can have a guy that thinks like the troops.
Deploy or redeploy troops. The Secretary of Defense is only one of 2 positions in all the United States government. Such a unique and powerful position that his view was that Korea was not paying its fair share. I think it is a very real possibility that he might pursue that if South Korea doesn't commit more to burden sharing. It was very transactional to him.
If I were there now, they'd be paying us $10 billion a year. And you know what? They'd be happy to do it. It's a money machine, South Korea.
Business, you may have heard that it's all about location, location, location. If I were king for a day, I would put a U.S. maneuver force back on the peninsula because there's no better terrain in the region for training. The security of the Indo-Pacific and of the world depends on it.
Allowed an invasion of people into our country.
This is a very impressive group of people beyond facilities.
His view was that Korea was not paying its fair share, and he would remark, it's unfair. We provide their security and they sell us TVs, trade imbalance as reasons to consider the withdrawal of troops from the peninsula.
He is laser focused on putting America and Americans first. We're going to bring it back to the basics. Inside the corridors of the Pentagon that we make in budgets, in planning, in deployments, in orders, in reorganizations, you are on our mind. It's those who long for peace must prepare for war.
$33,000 emails request. Not really, not at this moment, certainly not.
President Trump suggested an amount of $5 billion annually, an increase of 400% from the current one. What is the basis of this suggestion?
I don't know. I think that came out of the White House. I thought that was extraordinary as well. Look, on the other hand, too, I think President Trump was right in the sense that Korea has a very robust economy. It is one of the top 12. And I thought they could share more of the burden.
Dollars a year. And you know what? They'd be happy to do it. It's a money machine, South Korea.
God bless you. God bless our armed forces. God bless our... So they say we have some troops from South Korea. Hello, everybody. How we doing over there? How's Kim Jong-un doing?
We'd be privileged to host you here in Korea soon. You can seen firsthand the lethality of our soldiers here, how our formations are, our fight tonight focus, and our ironclad commitment to the defense of Korea and our homeland.
How is it going in South Korea right now? How's it doing? You have somebody with pretty bad intentions, I guess.
Our presence in Korea imposes cost, changes the calculations of leaders of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Russia, and China, and provides options for our nation's most senior leaders. U.S. forces in Korea are not only focused on defeating the DPRK, we're also focused on operations, activities, and investments in the region as a small part of the greater Indo-Pacific strategy. When it comes to Korea, land power remains a decisive part of our arsenal of capabilities. You can control the skies, you can control the seas, but ultimately you must control the ground to win and to achieve any lasting security. Ultimately, a strong land presence allows us to maintain consistent contact with partners, set the pace of events in the region, and impose real cost on any potential adversary. And it does so in a way that no other environment can truly replicate. Understanding and leveraging the land domain is absolutely crucial to success in the Indo-Pacific.
The USFK is in the strategic interest of the United States.
The presence of U.S. troops on the Korean Peninsula is important, and not just to South Korea, but it's important to the United States and to our other regional allies because it preserves stability and prevents conflict in the region. Likely that a withdrawal of U.S. troops from the Korean Peninsula would be destabilizing.